So there's this webtoon called The Remarried Empress. I absolutely freaking hate this webtoon. I absolutely hate it because I do not like the main character. I do not like the protagonist. And on top of all of that, there's a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of bias from the fans of this webtoon. Initially, where it comes to obviously hating the villain. Let me discuss the thing about the villain first, okay? So, the villain is an uneducated slave in the beginning of the webtoon. She is uneducated. She does not know anything. She doesn't have any proper mannerisms. She doesn't have any etiquettes. She's a total airhead, uneducated. And on top of that, the villain is also terribly traumatized. Traumatized because she was a slave that escaped from her toxic, abusive masters. In her past, she was starved, beaten, kept in a cold, dingy barn house, just berated, mocked all the time. All the fucking time. That thus was the life of the slave, who is the villain in all this, right? The slave escapes after her masters staged that her baby was killed. Her baby, the only joy and light in her life, was her precious secret baby. And in her mind, she thought the baby was killed. So she ran away. She escaped. Okay? Her baby, to her, was killed. Do you know how fucking traumatizing that must be? How emotionally and mentally breaking that must be? And then, with no other choice, she escapes and is found by His Majesty, Shovi, who is married to, again, the protagonist, who is the main character, who is the character everybody loves. And here's the thing, right off the bat, we initially know it would have only been okay for His Majesty to have relations with another woman outside of his marriage to the Empress. But that's only if his other partner has noble blood. But the way fans are talking about it, it's like, he cheated. What a nuisance. He's evil. How could he? It, of course, would have been okay to Navi if the slave, Rashta, was of noble blood. And here I bring up this point again. The slave is not educated. The slave did not know she cannot sleep with the king. That was for the king to know, and the king still did it. And imagine you're a poor, broken slave, mentally distraught and traumatized in so many ways. You got nowhere to go. And the king wants to give you safety and security, right? Who would say no to that in such a desperate situation? Who would say no to that? And of course, there's always this thing where Rashta is sneaky, Rashta is a liar, Rashta cries as a defense mechanism to get everything on her side. Of course, she doesn't want to fucking die. She doesn't want to be killed. She doesn't want to be thrown out of the comfort and security that she acquired through being saved by the king. And everybody hates her for this. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up that she's got to lie and be sneaky and make up excuses and put on the fake tears. But really, she is traumatized and broken to shit. The thing with the baby, how would you think she's in a right state of mind to have humanity and dignity? And here's the thing. Rashta the slave was trying to be nothing but nice to Navi. She wanted to engage with Navi, talk to Navi, be taught by Navi. Navi never lifted a finger to try to educate her properly, to tell her how things work. She actively just never even wanted to be in the same room. She didn't want to be looked at by Navi. She blocked all and every encounters with Rashta because Rashta is a slave and Navi was nothing but cold to her, didn't want to educate her, didn't want to finesse her, didn't want to teach her the limitations and boundaries of what she could and couldn't do. And Rashta the slave just interpreted this as Navi just wanting to do something, to throw her out, kick her out, have her be sent back to her masters. Navi was in no way warm or kind or sympathetic or tried to have any understanding of the situation that Rashta came from. And even if that wasn't any of her business, it just left Rashta assuming that her coldness was a threat and she would possibly be endangered of being thrown out or exposed. So, really, I mean, looking at it again, it's like the protagonist has been the villain and has been the reason Rashta thought she was on her own and had to take very drastic measures to protect herself because Navi was doing nothing but continuously just trying to get that girl thrown out of the nobility palace. And then here comes another hypocrisy from the fandom because the king divorces Navi to give more security to Rashta. And Navi talked down so much about Rashta clinging to the king for security and comfort. And Navi does something as petty as getting remarried to someone else And she doesn't even love him. So it's all hypocrisy. She went into a new marriage for her convenience, but there was so much bullshit, bias, and hypocrisy from the fans because Rashta married Shovi for security reasons. What the fuck? Right? Do they even see their hypocrisy? Do they even have any perspective? Are they really looking at the story from all angles? Honestly, honestly, I fucking hate this fucking webtoon. The main character is not nice. The villain is justified as being a villain because she's just trying not to fucking die no matter what she has to lie about. Like, you don't want to fucking die and go back to being enslaved and tortured and starved, right? It's your life or someone else's, right? It's fucking awful. It's fucking awful. The fandom, no logic or common sense or consideration at all. I never hated a piece of media so much in my fucking life. The hypocrisy.